Hey friends, it's your friend Lisa Mason Ziegler. And here we are on a Friday evening, um, for our Facebook Live. And I just want you guys to confirm that you can actually hear me because I had a little incident here just a second ago. So as soon as I get somebody on here, which I can't even tell that on the way I'm doing this here, one comment. Oh, there you go. You can hear me, right? Yep. Okay, great, folks. So, welcome everybody. I'm just in from I've been at the warehouse all day and it's been a great day. I was there by myself actually doing office work and it was really, really an enjoyable day there. But anyway, I'm just getting in here at the last minute. So if we haven't met before, my name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I am just so glad you've decided to join us here for our Friday evening. We call it the Gardener's Workshop live from the farm. And that's where I am here in my workspace. And tonight's a little bit different because we are going to be going inside one of our courses. It's the Farmer-Florist school course by Jenny Love. It's called The Wedding Process. But friends, I was feeling really compelled to do this because this course is for more people or can have a lot of benefits to people beyond doing events and weddings. The business savviness that's in here, but it's really the marketing sessions. So I thought, what better way to kind of like you tell everybody about this than for us to actually go in to the course and have a little look. But I want to point something out first. Do y'all see what's sitting over there? All of you guys that follow along with me on Fridays, we start sunflowers 26 to 30 weeks of the year, all through the season. And that's one of the things I do here on Friday evenings. We do it together. And so look at those beauties sitting next to the door over there. I just cut them. I actually cut a bunch and actually took them to someone that really needed a lift. And I kept some for myself. And we probably still have about 2 or 3 more weeks of sunflowers that are still coming in. And nobody's more surprised than me. So I just wanted to point that out to everybody. So the other thing that I would like to do, it'll just take me just a half a nanosecond here to actually do it, is I want to post the link to Jenny's course in the comments over there so you guys can get to it. So there's a couple things that I want to say. First off, if you don't listen to my podcast, it's called Field and Garden. Would love to have you take a listen, but what I'm encouraging you to listen to is this morning, the recording from the round table of my discussion with Dave Dowling, Jenny Love, Ellen Frost, and Steve and Gretel Adams about the flowers business opportunities that are happening right now. Y'all, we feel like this is a time in history that has never happened before. The global supply of flowers is really broken right now, and it's broken for a lot of different reasons. And it's going to take a long time for that to really get back to the way, if it will ever get back to the way it was. And what all this has done is just open doors and windows to local domestic flower farmers, to farmer-florists, to designers that are sourcing local. They are not going through as much craziness as all these conventional florists and event designers are, because they are already set up to deal with local folks. Flower farmers have more demand than they can actually fill. And as you can hear on that podcast, listening to Ellen Frost, who is a designer in Baltimore, and Jenny Love talking about florists, people that have been in it for a while. I mean, COVID was so difficult for them. They're just closing up. They're retiring. They're leaving. So there has never been a better time to either become a grower, to become a farmer florist, to ramp up and expand your business. So I really encourage you to listen to that Field and Garden podcast that just came out this morning. Then tomorrow morning, there is going to be, I sat down with Jenny Love and went through her syllabus. And we just kind of chatted about the different sessions, which we're going to look at all those sessions tonight. But it was really good to hear kind of some of Jenny's backstory or comments about those. So, you know me and technology, y'all. It's amazing that I got me on Facebook, right? So now I'm going to share my screen and attempt to take you into Jenny's course. So while I am doing that, I am going to, I think where I want to be is right there. Actually not. Y'all stand by for just a second. Let's see what that is. All right. So where I want to get back to, sorry, y'all, it's all this screen sharing that makes this a little bit more cumbersome than it really is. Okay. So for anybody that has not been or participated in one of our online courses or on any online course, because I think they're all pretty similar. So when you purchase an online course, you set up your own password and log in. And when you log in to your online library, and you choose this class that you've already purchased, this is what it looks like when you just go in and open it up. So this is the Farmer-Florist school. And what I wanted to show you is there are 6 classes. A class is full of a whole bunch of little sessions, which you're going to see here in just a minute. So actually class 1 is like week 1. So the first week of school, which is the first week of November, this class 1 with all of these sessions would all of a sudden appear in your online library. Then you have lifetime unlimited access. You can go in and watch them in any order you want to. You can stop and start, and you can go back and rewatch them over and over again. So these are the 6 categories of the name of the classes. So let's just click on class 1. First off, I want to say at the very top is the welcome, and there's a lot of instruction in there on things how to do things, where to find stuff. And so when you go to class 1, so here you are. So we always try to put at the very top, you click this and it has all the handouts in there. You can either download them and print them or read them online. It's all what your personal preference is. Frankly, I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person, I am a paper person. So I really like to print out my handouts. I get a 3-ring binder and just print out everything and have it so I can have blank paper so I can take notes and just keep everything in order. So this is in class 1. And class 1 is named Are Weddings and Events Right for You, and Which Ones? And, you know, I was so intrigued when I first read Jenny's outline before I'd actually watched the course. And it was really thought-provoking to me that you can really pick and choose what it is you want to do in a certain area of business. And in fact, that's what I've done as a flower farmer. But this really shows people where if you're a newbie or if you're somebody that doesn't want to do full-scale weddings, how to really find your clients. So let's look here. So session 1, the big picture thoughts, the pros of wedding work. Session 2, the cons of wedding work. And I will tell you, she is brutally honest at times. And if you're not familiar with Jenny and her teachings, you can count. We are very much cut from the same cloth in that way, is we just kind of tell you like it is. We want more people to come into our profession, meaning the cut flower industry, the local growing, sourcing, using industry, and stay and to be a professional. And so the last thing we want is people to get surprised by unexpected things that we knew that we should have prepared you for. And so session 3 is the personality traits of a successful farmer florist. And what we talked about when I talked to Jenny about this one is, if you are not a person that works really well or doesn't want to work towards working really well under pressure and a little stress, maybe flower farming and doing weddings may not be for you. But she really goes through a whole bunch of stuff in there. And the other thing is to know your why before you start. And I think this is a really significant soul searching part of this course, where she really tells people that, the flowers are not everything. You really have to have a why of why you want to do this. There's got to be more than just playing with flowers. And she really helps you see that. And the other thing that I was quite surprised by was the different approaches to weddings. And so there's a lot in that session, but what I wanted to really point out, she has a whole session on DIY buckets and bulk bucket sales. I read a lot of people on social media talking about doing this. There is definitely a way to do this and to do it profitable. A lot of people that do bucket sales, I find, really tend to sell flowers well under their value, and really undercut other people. And that's not good for you because you're not going to be able to pay the bills year after year, but it's not good for the industry. And when you do it properly, this really takes you through it step by step. And then there's a la carte. There is so much of that going on now with COVID. And then the menu style design services. And then she even takes you through to the full service event design, which is what her primary business was before COVID hit. She had worked her way up to that. And it is really eye-opening what that is all about. And then here's the other really, and then this is something that she and Steve and Gretel Adams really talked about, was why do you need a team? And y'all, when you start reading all the bits and pieces it takes to really become a farmer florist and to do it professionally and to do it well, you can see that you cannot do it all yourself. If you're trying to do it all yourself and you're losing out, you're killing yourself, that's what would be expected. You really do have to get a team. And she talks about in that session about how you can hire freelancers. Just things you would never dream of until you hear it from someone that is really experienced. So let's see what's on page 2. Working with freelancers, how to become the cream in a saturated market. And she and I talked about that. And I said, what does that mean, Jenny? And she talked about how being a farmer florist really allows you to grow things that other florists really just don't even have access to, and really makes you stand out. So y'all, I don't want to go this in depth on all of them. I want to get us to one of these sessions that I want us to actually watch. So session 2, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot. Y'all, there you go. Class 2 is growing and sourcing flowers for weddings and events. In here, she goes from telling you what you shouldn't grow yourself, what you really should source from other people. She gives you her top 10 foliages, top 10 things to grow, and a bunch of other stuff. But this is what I really wanted to show everybody. So class 3 is finding your clients. And the first thing she helps you to figure out is who is your client. And what that means is, how do you find the people that want the type of events or weddings that you want to do, the level of weddings. And that is really a significant, important first step. And then establishing your style. I just saw one of our good friends, Janice Harris, actually commented on one of her Facebook posts that she really loves it when a photographer said, when I saw the flowers, I knew it was a Harris Flower Farm wedding, because of Janice's style. But here's what I wanted to show you guys. Let's go inside and have a little peek at Jenny's course. So she goes into Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Google, which she tells you Google's not really a social media platform, but it is the leading marketing tool. But some really interesting things to say about Pinterest that I really didn't know anything about.
We're going to dive into session 4. This is going to be all about using Pinterest as an outstanding online marketing tool. I have a few tricks up my sleeve for that are a little different than you might be currently used to.
I want to stop for just a minute. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit that button. So what you're looking at here is what is where the video is. See here on the right, you can see that it lists all the sessions and you have the check marks of keeping track of what you've watched. It really helps you track it. But down here, you can choose to go full screen, and that's what I'm going to do with this. And we'll just watch a few minutes of this for you to kind of get an idea.
So as a business, I mean, you probably use Pinterest on a personal level. Most people have at this point. If you haven't, then you might need to back up and go get yourself a Pinterest account and explore how this social media platform operates. But as a business, you want to forget sort of the cliche use of Pinterest that you might be used to, which is just like go scroll around and click on a bunch of images and save them to one of your boards, and kind of, you know, in that capacity, you're using it as a mood board situation, a collection point for images. That's what your couples are doing, and it's definitely why you want to be on Instagram. But now you need to utilize Pinterest in a different way as a business and use it as a marketing tool for your company. And in this capacity, the most powerful use of Instagram is to acknowledge it for the search engine that it is. So stop thinking about it as a mood board, I guess. I'm trying to find the right words for articulating, but stop thinking about it as a mood board and start thinking about it as a search engine. So what makes Pinterest so powerful over so many other social media tools, and Pinterest is a social media app, what makes it so much more powerful is that unlike Instagram or Facebook, Google taps into Pinterest. So that means that when you put some search terms into Google, the main Google search engine, it's also searching Pinterest. Google will not search Instagram or Facebook. So if somebody's just curious about, say, they're looking for a Philadelphia florist who does sustainable wedding flowers, they might Google that. And then that Google search crawl is also going to go look around Pinterest for appropriate files to display as well with that search. So that is a part of Pinterest that is really the most powerful element for you as a business who wants to use Pinterest as a marketing tool. So it's going to get so many of your pictures up on the internet very easily. It's far easier to add an image to Pinterest than it is to update your website over and over again on a daily basis. That's not to say you shouldn't update your website, but that's just to say that adding an image or two to Pinterest every day is very easy and a really quick way to get your work searched by Google and also by Pinterest, because let's face it, a lot of couples today are actually going straight to Pinterest instead of using Google. They're going straight to Pinterest and entering search terms into the search function on Pinterest to pull up images. And in that capacity, it's usually things like blue taper candles with blue linen with white flowers or something like that. Those are the keywords a bride might be entering into the search engine on Pinterest so that she can pull up as many images as possible that have to do with blue taper candles on a blue tablecloth with white flowers. So the best way to use Pinterest is to acknowledge it as a search engine and therefore focus on key words. So you do still need to choose colorful, detail-rich, and usually vertical images for your Pinterest, for your pinning on Pinterest. But what is more important than the image is the key words you are including in the caption. So start thinking about words instead of just images on Pinterest. Now the images and words go hand.
So friends, this is just the tip of the iceberg of the kind of information that is included in this course. She goes in depth, not in just in Pinterest, but on Instagram, on Facebook, on Google, on blogging, whether you should be involved with Wedding Wire and the Knot, vendor networking, photo shoots. You know, one of the things that the question, I was at a conference with her once and people were asking questions, and a lot what I really wasn't aware of is so many farmer florists were being asked by photographers to just do all these photo shoots that were just an enormous amount of work for the farmer florist. And there are certainly times when you should do that, but she really talked about that, you know, sometimes you have to bow out of those. They're not always beneficial for you, because we all say, oh, but it's publicity. Well, that's not the way it always works. Really, really an eye opener. She talks about doing farmers markets, talking about getting clients, you know, meeting people. So that is a part of this course that I think so many of us, because I would certainly assume that this was not necessarily a part of this, but then the next course sessions that she has in class 4, communicating with your clients. You know, I've never done weddings. I was approached many times, but we just never dove in. And she literally, I sat, we'll go down a rabbit hole. When Jenny came here, we brought her here to do these recordings. And they were upstairs in the office, she and my sister recording all of this. And I sat outside on the landing, listening to some of it. And when I sat there during this classes, some of these recordings, and I was texting my sister who was sitting in there, you know, manning the computer or whatever. And I was texting her and saying, oh my gosh, if I'd have known that, maybe we would have done weddings. I mean, things like setting boundaries from the start. The number one thing, and Jenny does say that perhaps one of the spots that you have to really manage when you're doing events and weddings is the communication, the email threads, and setting boundaries is so important. The way that they streamline the email feed. She said it's not uncommon to have 100 emails from one wedding, and keeping track of all that. It's just crazy. And she also talks about things like how to say no, how to host a successful consultation, and then really about how to make your own, or how to create a portfolio. Because as she pointed out, many of these consultations are done during the winter when you have no flowers. So you really have to take some really great images of your own work to really have what you need to do those consultations. And then after they book, what do you do next? She really helps you to craft a proposal and present it with confidence, y'all. I felt pretty confident after I watched this course. I will never do a wedding, but having these key pieces of information just really changed it for me. And then here is crafting the proposal. She gives you templates for contracts. And she now has added a bonus sessions, y'all, after COVID, with all the rescheduling and all the moving stuff around. She really even tweaked her contracts even more. And she totally provides all of that. So she gives you what's in the proposal package so you can build your own, the descriptions, the way, just there's so many angles of this that I was not even aware of. And she just covers all of it. Mood boards, contract overview. I mean, all these clauses. And when we were talking about this, and she said you know, you don't realize how important these are until COVID hit. I mean, you realize you have to have them. An attorney looked at her contracts, but she said, you see the little holes with this situation the last 2 years, which led her to make the bonus sessions of how she tweaked her contracts, the exclusivity clause, the responsibilities clause, the communication clause, the cancellation clause. All of these things are so stressful for the farmer florist, particularly if you're not prepared, right? Let's just take a look in the last one. And I think this is the $1 million question for everybody is pricing and pricing to be profitable, right? And I will tell you that it's very straightforward. There's an equation that you are going to go through. She gives you big picture pricing strategies. She gives you the recipe and a proven pricing formula. One of the things that's in one of the bonus sessions she talks about is how all the rules, the way things used to be done before COVID, have gone out the window. Everything is different now. And she shares all of that with you. And then she helps you to become a confident farmer florist, to be able to present yourself and to be able to not, I mean, I guess it's defending your price, but to justify to people why your price is what it is. And when you have the confidence and understanding, that is just really, really easy to do. So friends, I would love to have, if anybody has questions, I am going to go back over here. Let's see for 1 minute. I'm going to go out of here. The other thing I wanted to say before I leave here, just so I don't forget, you know, each week of school, it's for 6 weeks. So I think hers goes on Wednesday mornings. You get a new load of the classes on Wednesday morning, like the next week's sessions. You have 6 days to digest as much as you can, because then you get a live coaching session with Jenny. And those coaching sessions are recorded and actually added to your library. So take a look at this. So in addition to your own coaching session that you get the previous year's coaching sessions. And for anybody that's taken any of our other courses, we have totally revamped our Q&A sessions, and they are so awesome now. There's a PowerPoint slideshow and your question shows, and they've been organized together, and you can see when your question is answered, but also you can search that afterwards if you weren't able to watch and actually find your question. So it's really pretty dadgum awesome. So in addition to getting a new class each week, you then get a coaching session. But even after that, 2 weeks after school ends, we have one last Q&A with your instructor. And we do that to allow people to have more time to digest, as well as to catch up a little bit. But there's even more, y'all. I feel like an infomercial. I'm not really an infomercial, y'all. But there's so much and so much depth to this, and people miss certain points. And so I just feel so compelled to share those with you, that we offer an optional closed Facebook group. There's 2 actually, one that's during school. And then once school is over, several weeks after school is over, that current class gets added into the alumni group with previous students. And y'all, your instructor is in and out of there. The support and help and encouragement that goes on in that group is pretty awesome. We actually have one of our team members, Jessie, who is actually, her title is she's the student ambassador, to help students to get their questions answered even after the fact. And it's just really a great thing. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And here's those bonus sessions. I just saw those down here. Hard lessons learned from COVID-19. And so it's 3 lessons. The markup model must go. A whole different pricing way, because people are having weddings, very, very different, right? And cleaning up the contract, and the designer's choice is the only choice. So she really leaves no question unanswered. And all right, friends. So I'm going to look over here on Facebook and see if anybody All right, I do see some questions. So let me see. I'm going to go let me go back to the top so I don't lose track. So if anybody doesn't know, if you are a student of any of our online courses, we love for you to comment on our lives and use the sunflower emoji. And that just identifies you as one of ours. And it identifies you to other classmates that you've also taken classes. And so we love it when people do that. So let's see here. I'm just scrolling through. Hey, everybody. We have lots of folks on here. Yeah, Charlotte, I am good with technology as long as everything works. But the minute that there's a hiccup, I get a little flustered. And it's because I don't feel like I know. And that is a perfect example of how getting more knowledge gives you confidence. If I took a class on computer technology, I'm sure I might feel a little better, but I just keep young people around me. And that's what really helps, right? So we have several people here. So my podcast is called Field and Garden, and there is so much information over there, y'all. So we try to take key videos like this that really fit and make the recording into a podcast so people can listen to it anywhere. And also our clubhouse talks we try to put over there. So check that out. Field and Garden should be available from whatever podcast you listen to. And I just encourage you to do that. Mari, I can't wait for school to start either. And thank you. I see that Rhonda and Jesse were both on here. Love the dealing with brides, customer info. So, I think it really helps to hear from somebody about customer service situations and how best to handle those. Because we are, especially when you're new, right? You're like trying to do anything to please customers. And that's our motto. But there are ways you go about doing that. And there is a line drawn in the sand. And having the confidence to communicate with people just really brings a whole new level to it. All right. So y'all, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get back. I saw some questions down here. I'm just trying not to miss any. All right, Paige, I'm signed up for your class and I'm just starting out. I do not think that I will ever do weddings, but the Pinterest and Instagram class in this, I'm sorry, I can't even speak. But the Pinterest and Instagram classes in this class should sound really good. Is there anything like that in your class? We talk about social media in my class, but Jenny definitely gives a deeper dive on tagging and making, the Google course or session is really pretty amazing. And I'm going to be interviewing two of Jenny's students on Monday night on Clubhouse, Jesse and Ann, who Jesse and Ann are actually now team members for us. Can you believe it? But they both took her course before they worked for us. And they're going to be sharing about what their impact to their business was from her course. Neither one of them do weddings. The business information in this class and the social media or the marketing. Jenny was a marketing major and worked in marketing for 10 years before she became a farmer-florist. So, there is some, but it is not a deep dive like there is in Jenny's. What everybody has to remember is each one of the courses, we've tried to do deep dives on specific areas in the flower-based businesses. And there are so many pieces to each business that you can't do deep dives on every single thing. I kind of explained it one time to somebody by saying, my previous career, I worked for a veterinarian for 18 years, totally loved my job. I was the business manager of an animal hospital. This was back before we had all these specialists in veterinary medicine available like we do now. We have right here in town, veterinarian, ophthalmologist, orthopedic guys, surgeons, endocrine, internal medicine. Back when I worked at the veterinarian hospital, the veterinarian had to be all of those things. He had to know just enough to know when he had to refer somebody to a university. And that's how it is in business. And you have to learn your main stream of the business area you're focusing on. And then there's all these pieces. Talking about my class. My class is about starting a flower farming business. We could go deep on so many areas, but people have to figure out how to start a farm, run a farm, find customers, sell, grow, what sells, and how to do all that. So we've tried to really include enough social media stuff to get your appetite taste beds going and get you moving. And what Jenny teaches would take you deeper on that. All right, so wait a minute. I got you, Cindy. On the deliverables downloads that go with the course, is there a list of them we can review? Just the titles of them? So if you go to Jenny's course page, you can actually, I'm trying to think, and I don't have it here, see the syllabus, which lists all the sessions. I do not know if it lists all the titles to the handouts. I do not believe that those are public, but you can go look at the syllabus and find out about that. Oh, somebody said there is a course syllabus on our course page. Thank you very much. I was a florist in the Chicago burbs for years, moved to the family farm, and my gig is starting a flower farm on a small portion of it. So excited. You know something, Jenny and I have no idea which live it was or where it was. When Jenny and I did a talk one time, we talked about how the two of us got started. Do you know that for the first few years of her business, she was in a community garden with like a 16th of an acre. That is small. And that is what fed her at a farmer's market, which is what fed her into starting to do weddings. Literally the vendor next door to her, Jenny's selling flowers at the farmer's market, right? She didn't know anything about weddings. And the vendor next to her said, hey, my daughter or son or somebody's getting married. Would you do the wedding? And she said, I thought, why not? Sure. And that's what launched her in. You can grow so many flowers on such small space. And the other part of this with what Jenny shares in the class is you do not have to grow everything, y'all. You can source from other growers. And that is one of the sessions in there, is to really help you see how you can reach out and network with other growers for those things that you don't need to grow. Is there a list of the download deliverables from Jenny, the types of documents we get, i.e. contract language, top 10 wedding days, top 10 tulips for wedding sample, no thanks letter? I don't believe that there is. If it's not on the syllabus, then those things are not available unless you're in the course. I came on late. I'm signed up for the basic course. Will we get any more emails as to when to start the class in November? I think I missed some info. So Carolyn, you will get emails. So you should email info@thegardenersworkshop.com. If you didn't get an email from us with all your pertinent information about the course, all the links, when it starts, the Q&As, everything, then you need to reach out to info@thegardenersworkshop.com, or you can just go to our website and hit contact us and say, I didn't get the email, and Kelly and Ann will get you all fixed up because yes, you will definitely. All right. So Cindy said she found it. So Jessica is saying on here that she loves networking. I think that so many of us feel like we have to do everything to actually be able to start a business. But I think one of the things that Jenny really talks about, and in this landscape now with coming out of COVID, what she talks about is there is no better time for new farmer florists to get their feet wet, because people's weddings are so much smaller. They're coming to you and saying, I'm getting married in my mom's backyard or in this little park. And it's just, a few pieces of things instead of a 300-person wedding. You don't even have to face that stuff as much like you used to. And it's just a great time to get in and get your feet wet. So if nobody else has any questions, I'll just tell you the lowdown. If you want to hear more from her students, you can go to the website. I put the link in the feed. Go to her course page. There are student reviews. There's a video there from her. And one of the things we talked about on that podcast that I've encouraged you to listen to that launched this morning is that it's being forecasted that next year, 2022, and Jenny says 2023 as well, are going to be the biggest wedding years in 40 years. And what that means is that flower farmers, Farmer-Florists, and anybody that wants to get involved with that, there's never been an opportune time to start your business and to know there's customers out there. You just have to figure out being a pro and making the connection and getting your P's in a row and doing it right. Doing it right, y'all, means that not only is it easier, less laborious for you to do it profitably, and your customer is happy. And all those things are really, really, sorry, y'all, really within doing. So tomorrow at 5, I was on a Instagram live. I am doing a live with Kelly Schmidt of Three-Way Flower Farm. I know that because I just posted about her on my stories. And I'm going to be talking to her about how did Jenny's course help her business. Then on Monday, I'm talking to Ann and Jesse on Clubhouse, and we will probably have that as a podcast ready on Tuesday. On Tuesday, I'm talking to 2 sets of students, one at noon here on Facebook and one at 7 o'clock over on IG. So y'all, we're going to be sharing, and you can ask questions. I would love for you to ask questions. And that's one of the reasons we love using that sunflower emoji. If we encourage our students to say, hey, I took XYZ's class, ask me anything you want. We want you to ask questions. And if you have questions that you can't find an answer to, just email us. We want to help you figure out, is this course or any of our courses, because we have 2 more registering in November. Are they for you, and do they fit your business model? But I will tell you what has happened. We've been doing online courses now for 4 years. And I will tell you that people that take one course have like a 66% chance that they take all of the courses. That's how it's kind of worked out over the years, because first off, getting more knowledge makes you an expert in your field. Whether, for instance, like when I took Ellen's course and watched it, I'm not a florist. I don't have a design studio, but guess what? As a flower farmer, I sell to those people. I want to know what their business is, what they are thinking, what they need, what their problems are. And so, if you're just starting out, it's easy to get overwhelmed. But after you get a little bit of time under your belt, you soon realize that it is power to have knowledge of more and more areas in the industry. So friends, check out the podcast, take a listen. Tomorrow morning, the podcast that comes out is Jenny and I going through her syllabus, which will be really good. And friends, please reach out if you have questions. We love helping you, and that's what drives us all to do this, right? So friends, until we meet again, see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock over on Instagram Live. We'll be talking to Kelly and see what she has to say. Ciao.